I mean, I'm sure that there's people who subscribed to the network just to get access on those Broken Skull sessions because, like, it's so very surreal to watch Mark Calloway talk about the character work behind The Undertaker and, like, how he got his whole gimmick from Mike Myers and, like, the pacing and all this stuff where he's like, less is more, less is more, less is more. And this is a theme that I've seen repeated amongst all of the legends that have been on that show so far. They all seem to say something about, like, when you're green and in the business, you want to go like hell and you want to prove yourself and you want to do all these crazy spots. But as you get more experience, you learn that, like, sometimes I was thinking about this the other day. Sometimes the most exciting thing in a match is when you sit up. And that was the whole thing about The Undertaker, right? It wasn't when he's choke slamming people. I mean, it is as well. But, like, he always got such a big pop when he just got that absolute trash kicked out of him. And then he just sits up like it's nothing, right? Like, and that kind of character work. So fascinating to hear how they got that inspiration and where they took it and how many times they learned from their mistakes and stuff. Like, Kane said some very similar things. Big Show said some very similar things about being a giant, like learning what it means to be a giant character and how he's supposed to work. And it got me to thinking, one of the things that Big Show said that I thought was incredibly interesting was, if the biggest pop of the night is not your finisher, then you're doing something wrong.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
And it just made me think of all of these kind of mid-cardy or cruiserweight style guys like Ricochet. I love Ricochet. He's a great wrestler. He's super exciting to watch, but he's not my favorite wrestler. Why? Because his character work is basically non-existent. What is Ricochet? He's a human highlight reel. He does the 480 splash. He's a really good wrestler. But, like, do you care about Ricochet's finisher? Because I don't. I really don't
Oh,
care about the 480
absolutely.
splash.
Yeah.
Like, because he
Yeah.
does it like it's nothing. He'll do it like 3 times in a match. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's kind of always been the critique of like the smaller, high flying type wrestlers.
Mm,
It's all high speed, it's all very exciting, and it's very hard to get people invested when you're going at 100 miles per hour for
right.
the entire match. And there's no pacing, there's no in betweens, there's no like even like a slow count or a slow standing up thing where everyone's like, yeah, it's harder to tell a story if you're just doing hurricanranas over and over again, and it's just nonsense. So I agree with you. I mean, it's
And
fun to watch, but guys like a guy like, we know this, like guys like Ricochet rarely ever become the guy for that very reason. They're fun to watch, but it's just hard to build a long-term world champion when you just don't have the character development there or anything.
right. And I think Ricochet, he has so much potential. Like, he could absolutely be world champion one day if he just tweaks his style a little bit. Another thing that the Big Show mentioned was, like, who is the one cruiserweight that has gotten over and has gotten to the point of being world champion multiple times?
Oh, what, Rey Mysterio?
Rey
Is
Mysterio.
it Rey?
It's Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio. And why is Rey Mysterio so good? Because his pacing and his match work, yes, he's a cruiserweight, but he will always get the biggest pop when he hits the 619. And I was thinking about, why is this? Why is the 619 such a special move? So here's my interpretation. 619 is great because the setup for it builds the anticipation. You trip the guy up on
Exactly.
the ropes, he does the call, he runs to the other side of the ring, he hits the ropes, he swings around, boom, hits it, jumps, does the roll up. 619 is like a 5 moves of doom in one move, and it
That's really
builds
interesting.
the
Yeah.
tension throughout the whole thing. All the other cruiserweights, their move is here and gone in like half a second. But Rey Mysterio draws that out. He's the best of all time in some respects for that reason. Like, I think
You're
a
right.
big part of it is that.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think so as well, right? I mean, in fact, dude, even for a cruiserweight, he's a small guy. Like, even
Yeah,
as
he's like
a
5'5".
smaller dude,
He's
he's
not
a
big.
he's small, even compared to, like, your typical AJ Styles, 5'9", 185 pounds. He's small even for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So he's really tiny. It is kind of interesting that for a guy who wrestles also super quick, right? Fast pace, breakneck, small guy going really fast.
Mm,
He does have a setup that now that the fans are now very much in tune with. Like when he's going to go for the six, there's a setup happening. You
mm.
know that, like, when he goes on the top ropes and he swings up, he's going to start to set up for the 619, and the crowd pops immediately for it
Right. Right.
because they know it's coming. I mean, I think there's also some other things that have aided him. Also, just kind of like always having the outfits and the looks, and the fans have sort of,
Absolutely.
especially
Yeah.
the kids, like the mask and everything. But to be fair, I mean, Sin Cara has tried that as well. Didn't work. I mean, how we've tried masked wrestlers and they don't get over. So that is probably something that a lot of other smaller guys should take into account. If you're going to wrestle a
Mm.
fast-paced style, you still have to have a finisher that people will anticipate and work around that.